Hello friends, welcome back to Innovations in Marketing and Marketing Innovations. We are reaching to almost the end of as far as innovations in marketing sphere goes. We have tried to build up a case around how we can be innovative in marketing, within marketing. We have talked about so many things. I would not re-enumerate those. Probably at the end of the course, I would give you a brief summary of what we have talked about. But here, when we were thinking in terms of putting up a value chain business sphere in front of you, we realized that innovations in marketing are also very important with respect to beyond business. Things which we do and have a business like meaning. Same processes we follow, but we are not doing those with a profit motive more or less. So, those kind of things are very important because they include everything, and marketing definition also talks about that. So, they include every ingredient which has to be looked upon with reference to being innovative, and that is why this element of beyond business. So, we will be starting with an interesting case, and before that, once we start with that, do you remember so many movies have been produced on subjects like elections and politics and so on. Still you have several movies running, and those are very interesting movies, and mega stars they have worked for such movies. And almost every movie before electronic voting machine was introduced had a context of booth capturing, wherein the protagonist, the hero, or probably the other person who is not the hero, I would not say villain, he would go to this booth to capture the booth, and they would enter inside the booth and they would say, okay, now we will vote on your behalf, and so on. And ballots they would put up, and they would stamp the ballots, and then boxes would be shifted, and boxes would be destroyed or looted, and votes, ballots, and those kind of things would be burned, and so on. And I remember there were so many issues associated with conducting elections peacefully, nicely, fairly before this innovation came in. And here comes the perspective around electronic voting machines, a historical change in India's democratic procedure, and Election Commission did a commendable job when this kind of innovation was introduced. So many people were involved in bringing this innovation to the ground, and if you realize the kind of electorate, the kind of population it touches, the kinds of benefits it is bringing, it is a matter of continued research, and people are working on that, and so many researchers they have been working on that. I would be telling you an interesting element which my team has brought in here, that in Brazil they associated electronic voting machines with health also, healthcare. So many budgetary elements have been brought in terms of electronic voting machines go, and we have been talking about value chains and value networks and value webs. And you would realize that this concentric innovation beyond business has brought in so much in front of us. Today it is a very simple, a very fair process. You just go, you have an identity card with you, your name is being ticked, you go inside the booth, you just press a button. And so many people got motivated because of this kind of a thing, because fairness in elections motivates people to come forward and vote and exercise their right. And if people exercise their right, the fairness increases, and we have a strengthened democracy which everyone wants. And India, being the largest democracy in the world, is commendable in terms of several things, and this one also. So, here is the picture of, and we are all aware of this, and especially people who have right to vote, they feel a pleasure going there and exercising their rights in terms of as far as elections go. So, you see EVM, as we talked about the last time also, look at the web. So, EVM is connected to somehow paper industry, because it reduces the use of paper. That was huge. If you will try to find out the data, you would realize that this simple button box, it looks simple, but it is very interesting, and so much of knowledge has gone into developing this kind of a thing, and especially in a foolproof manner. It's a wonderful thing which Bharat Electronics has gone for, and definitely so many people would have, so many intelligent brains would have involved themselves in developing this. So, reduction of paper definitely is connected to environment, and then politics and competition. Fairer the election, fairer the competition, fairer are the results, and fairer is the process leading on to as far as democratic development goes. And then healthcare industry, as I told you, it's an interesting case, and you can always find out more about what is, how people are associating EVMs with what kind of developments are going on. And then technology definitely is there, and continuously it's being studied and developed, and how further we can innovate in terms of making it more robust and more kind of more easy comparatively as what we are going on for. I am not sure what other innovations technologically can be proposed, because I am not that much into as far as electronics and those kind of things go. My friends in that in those areas can tell you better. So, then electricity is also associated, transportation is also associated. It was a humongous task bringing in ballot boxes from places and far flung places too, and then counting of votes was unimaginably intense basically. And then women participation has been associated with this, marginalized voters participation has been associated with this. As the confidence rose, as the ease raised itself, and then people started participating. Women participation is a very motivating factor, marginalized voter participation is a very motivating factor. You see why? Because not only because women constitute a very large part of the electorate, but also it motivates the complete process when women come forward and participate in a country's development. And that is an important, and it is a proven study that women, as and when they come forward, the country rises. Efficiency and effectiveness is also associated in this web. And as I told you, I started the story with electoral frauds, booth capturing and those kind of things minimized. I don't hear much of it now, and I think we may say that it's zero, not only negligible, it is zero. So electoral frauds have reduced, counting frauds have vanished. Now, this is one thing which is completely eliminated. You see, as polio has vanished, counting frauds have also vanished. Booth capturing, definitely, it's a matter of films and stories now, and recent films, they cannot include that basically, because the ballots are not there. So how would you go for that kind of a capturing? So that has become a part of an older story, and you can only find those in before EVM era sort of. So era has changed as far as this whole thing goes, and as I said, other sorts of crime stories have reduced and so on. This one simple system, a thoughtful innovation, has brought in so many elements around. You see, let's see about something about it in a systematic kind of a manner. Over the past 2 decades, technological innovations have brought about significant changes, as we have tried to understand, and we are talking about innovations beyond business. So, the way democracies operate, and the particular area, digital technology, that has sparked considerable debate is the adoption of electronic voting machines. I told you that today we can think about almost everything separately and in consonance with each other, but digitalization is a common chord which has become an imbibed part of almost everything which we have been talking about with respect to innovation. Many a times people talk about innovation with reference to digitalization, digital sphere. Why do we call it digital sphere is another sort of a discussion which we might have in some other subject. So, the introduction of EVMs in India initially took place as an experiment in limited number of constituencies, which usually happens. And look at this, you see, and I would be talking about this in marketing of innovations, that we start with a limited sphere, and which logically it was done during state assembly elections. It was introduced, and the primary aim behind implementing EVM technology in India was to enhance the electoral processes and reduce the expenses and several other things which we have just seen. especially the frauds and the crime. Following its promise initial outcomes, this technology was gradually phased in for subsequent assembly elections. We started enhancing the space because results were very motivating, and 2001 it was introduced nationwide. It is almost 22 years we did this, and today we are happy about it. India's EVMs are portable, economical, helping more than 800 million Indians casting their ballots in the year's election. The machines are indigenously designed, developed and manufactured by Bharat Electronics Limited and Electronics Corporation of India under technical guidance of Commission's Technical Expert Committee. According to the researchers, EVMs have largely helped improve development outcomes by empowering the people. Ultimately, if you will remember the definition of marketing, it is related to serving societies at large. Empowerment of people is the most important element when you want to serve a society at large. If you empower people to come forward, to exercise their rights, to choose, to feel free, it is the most important element. And the introduction of EVMs led to a significant decline in electoral fraud, as I said, strengthening the weaker and vulnerable sections of the society. Once they come into mainstream, they feel that they are exercising their rights, they exert their rights, everyone is at par then. This is a situation which universalizes everyone. It makes us true democracy without any differences amongst people. And that is the biggest achievement which a country can have, a more competitive electoral process and so on. And as I said, little elaboration on electoral frauds. So, machines design makes it challenging to capture booths. EVMs are engineered to record a maximum of 5 votes per minute, significantly extending the time required for booth capturers to tamper with EVMs compared to traditional ballot boxes. Otherwise, it is an untamperable equipment, and so much of debate has gone into this, and so much of testing and retesting also has gone into this, but India feels proud that we have achieved this. So, it is an untamperable kind of a thing basically. No expert can tamper with this kind of a thing. That is what we have achieved. It is a foolproof system. Electronic voting machines not only contributed to a reduction in election fraud, but also played a role in enhancing development outcomes by empowering underprivileged and marginal votes that we have talked about. And then you see, there is a study by Debnath S, Kapoor M and Ravi S in 2017. The title of the study is The Impact of Electronic Voting Machines on Electoral Frauds, Democracy and Development, a larger kind of a sphere of the study. So, this study talks about, it claims that the introduction of the new technology led to greater participation of women and several other voters. They have gone to the ground, they have checked upon, they have checked the statistics and data, and it is a good paper, you can always refer to that. So, this was conducted in 2017, which is not far behind us, and we are moving for 5 states going to elections now, and then next year we are having national elections going on. So, would be coming up, and this is an important thing which enables that complete thing, and study talks about women participation as such. And introduction of Indian EVMs featuring a limited set of buttons virtually eliminates the possibility of casting an invalid ballot also. So, you see, invalid ballots, they created a substantial portion once, then it got reduced through different kinds of processes. But today, whosoever exercises is the right thing, right choice which they would have made. So, whatever choices they want to exercise, and this is what I was talking about, healthcare. In a captivating research study, Fujiwara 2015, Fujiwara T 2015, Voting Technology, Political Responsiveness and Infant Health, Evidence from Brazil, and it was published in Econometrica, credible publication. So, in a captivating research study, Fujiwara 2015 demonstrated that the transition in voting technology had a positive impact on health outcomes. Very interesting. I think we would have also done similar kinds of studies, and you should find out, and if not, someone should do that. Utilizing the gradual implementation of voting machines in Brazil as its research framework, study investigated their impact on healthcare expenditure. Findings indicated that the regions where this new technology was adopted earlier allocated higher healthcare spending compared to regions where electronic voting machines were introduced at a later stages. You are saving money from somewhere, you are devoting it to some, and you see when people participation increases, then their participation motivates the political leaders and policy makers to pay attention to them. So, it was concluded that by enabling the participation of less privileged and less educated individuals in the voting process, these machines prompted lawmakers to consider the preferences of underprivileged. When you have a large number of voters, you have to listen to them, and you should listen to them. Given that individuals with lower socio-economic status rely more on public healthcare facilities than their wealthier counterparts, these facilities experience increased investments compared to previous levels. Very interesting outcome. Here comes another thing which is very important, very interesting. India has 139 million internal migrants, they must not be forgotten. While talking about these kind of things, I always reminiscence the site when COVID erupted, and so many immigrant workers, they were walking back home. They got all the support, everyone tried to do their bit for them, but someone had to reach home. But that is not the point of discussion here. The point of discussion here is that those were the numbers in terms of migrant workers. People have to move away from their homes to work. Sometimes it actually breaks my heart when I think about that. Why should a person compulsively move away from home to work? It should be by choice, but not by compulsion, because they are not finding avenues to work near to their homes basically. But that is another matter of discussion. So many researchers, they have talked about this, and many Nobel laureates have been talking about this, and there can be several models which can be talked about, and India is working hard on bringing work to home basically for all the workers, spreading the value chains and creating different kinds of value networks, fast speed rail networks and so on. That is going on. But here the reality, the fact of life is that presently we have this kind of a situation. So, 139 million internal migrants. Ajivika Bureau is a public service non-profit organization seeking to provide solutions, services and security to millions of India's rural immigrant workers. It undertakes registrations, photo IDs, skills training, legal aid, financial inclusion, health services, essential support services for migrant workers and their families in Rajasthan and Gujarat specifically. But this model can be replicated, many others definitely would be working in similar directions. We are just using this as an example here, and source is given at the foot of this slide. India Economic Summit 2023, 18th August, World Economic Forum, and the URL is also given there. So, this organization undertakes these kind of activities, and several civil society organizations see it as a model of support to immigrant workers and migration management. Ajivika Bureau's knowledge outputs contribute to a growing policy discourse around internal labor migration in India. Someone is focusing on that. And whenever I look at these kind of organizations and their work, I remember the sites of the floods, for example, Kashmir floods and several other places, Uttarakhand floods we have seen. Immigrant workers who do not have proper registrations and IDs and photo IDs, and they are staying there for n number of years, they have small hutments also, assets also. How would you compensate them? That is a big question which comes in, because they do not have a particular kind of a situation to prove or to show that they belong to this place despite of the fact they are immigrant workers. Leave aside this factor, people who are staying somewhere for n number of years, there are daily immigrant workers also who go to a particular kind of a city to work and come back, or let us say weekly workers also. I have seen several rickshaw pullers here who come from different places, take rickshaws from the contractors, work and go. They do not have a place to stay, they just stay on rickshaw itself, they cook nearby, they do their things nearby and so on. So, it is a big question for us how to support them. Everyone wants to do that, every organization, government, everyone wants to do that, but how to do that? So, Ajivika is trying to do in their own bit. So, according to the census data, urbanization in India has increased from 27.81% in 2001 to 31.16% in 2011, which is good, which is very important. This rise in urbanization can be attributed to the demographic boom and the migration of people from rural to urban areas. Definitely urbanization brings in support from all the people, it brings in work opportunities and so on, and people do migrate. There are so many organizations which are supported by contracted labor, and those contracted labor, they come, they are on contractual basis. So, definitely they cannot be treated as permanent, or they cannot feel permanent by themselves, and so creating a scope for themselves in an urbanized environment, how to account for that? If you are sitting on a table planning, a city, or let us say planning for a city, how would you account for immigrant workers? You have methods, you have data, people do that, people try to do that, but there has to be a lot of, primary continuous AI based data support on everything, which we would achieve someday. Very soon we would have IDs, and Aadhaar has done so much basically, because, and once we associate that with AI system, we would know where people are. Mobiles are supporting that kind of an effort, and we do know that where people are and so on. But then planning urbanization, urban planning, how to do that is a question mark. On the other side, Ajivika is coming from this side, supporting such kind of people, and trying to put up that mark on, supporting planners, that they should be thinking in these kind of terms. So, there are vulnerabilities associated with workforce. In unorganized labor market, migrant workers regularly face conflicts and disputes at work sites. How to support that? The common issues they face are non-payment of wages, physical abuse also, accidents also, so many things, admissions of their children, health care, and so much. And then when they are not accounted for, so planning in those areas in terms of sewage, in terms of those kind of things, there are so many things which one must look at, how to look at those kind of things. Ajivika Bureau has innovated to offer a wide range of services and solutions to immigrant workers. They have established Shramik Sahayata Evam Sandarbh Kendras, 3 SKs, support setups, to deliver services to migrant workers and establish on the ground networks to address the concerns. You bring in people, you bring in technology, you bring in all the processes which we have discussed up till now, and you bring in value networks to support this kind of a service, and it would definitely happen. Today we have all the ingredients associated with us. You see, India has done good at several levels. UIDAI, this Aadhaar card effort is humongous, and it has done wonders. It's an exceptional kind of an effort which India has done, and that is how we are trying to account for several kinds of people now. Among the services provided, Ajivika offers registration and issues photo IDs, as I said, to immigrant workers, which prove invaluable in emergencies, employer verification, and when dealing with financial institutions. Given the limited access to migrant workers have to formal financial services, Ajivika has forged a partnership with the State Bank of India. Because they could bring in that kind of an identification, State Bank also came forward to assist them or to support them. As a result, Ajivika has successfully facilitated the registration and issuance of photo IDs proofs to 6,904 seasonal migrants in a particular kind of a city. So, this is a city based data, and then the rest of the details are given there, and because it is coming from World Economic Forum, that means it was commended there or registered by them. Ajivika additionally offers legal instruction, that is also very important. There are several kinds of disputes. Who would listen to them? If you do not have identification, where to go, whom to talk to, and today we have all this system of going online and registering our complaints and doing this. How these people would go for that? So, counseling is also there, and mediation services through this team of lawyers and paralegal workers are also there. The organization operates Amrit Primary Health Clinics. So, primary health clinics they have formed, facilitating health camps, consultations, medication distribution and referrals. Moreover, it runs childcare centers for the offsprings of immigrant laborers. Now, this is very important when you talk about childcare centers. You see, parents, they have to move to work from this city to that city or villages to the city, and they are working on a daily basis. They have to work long shifts, many times 2 shifts. Who is going to take care of their children? Those children would lose their childhood, and probably if we would have regular schools for them and those kind of things, and infrastructure and support from every quarter, then those children would not lose their childhood while the parents are earning. And you see, there are several kinds of things, and interestingly, I was watching this movie produced on an astronaut, Jose Hernandez. So, his parents used to move around different farms to work along with him, and how he struggled from one school to the other school or taking leaves from the school, that is an interesting part, and commendably he did a great job. His parents supported him, and then he became an astronaut and went to space on Discovery mission. A wonderful kind of a story, basically very inspiring story. But if we give larger support to all such children whose parents have to migrate for work, doing work and earning living basically, so we can produce several astronauts and several people who would do good to this society and this world at the end of the day. So, and you see, and then as I said, particularly those who are working at construction sites, there can be places where we can talk about those. You see, many a times we do cost analysis on the basis of the particular kind of rigid spheres of what kind of wages we would give. But if somehow, even if we have contractual workers, if we bring in a cost benefit long term structure, you see, they are contractual, fine, but again, if those contractual workers can be treated with different levels of facilitations and benefits, there, despite of them being working at contractual level, their permanency and loyalty would be gained and their work productivity would get enhanced, contributing towards marketability of the product they are making. This can be a relationship. We have talked about that earlier as well when we were talking about the concentricity elements. So, Ajivika Bureau has also established forums to encourage collective action, collaborative issue resolution and advocacy efforts and so on. You see, these kind of efforts which we have been talking about beyond business, if you would look into, several examples are there, and those are pivotal examples. 3 we have just seen, Aadhaar card, EVMs, Ajivika's efforts and similar efforts by several other organizations which are being done. There are several stories. And if you are interested, then there are books like Roofless Stars on the people or officers who would have brought in such kind of a change in society through innovation with marketing perspective, bringing in people on board. There are community radios which have been initiated. There are actually kind of projects which have been initiated when you have created an enclosure and you have put up computers, and those touch based screens have been used by several children to gain knowledge and to get associated with education, to get attracted towards education. There have been systems which have been generated by several organizations to enhance the people participation for their own development for as far as education goes. There have been efforts by people wherein accounting has been taught to semi-literate women so that they can run their businesses well. Those kind of several stories are there wherein marketing intensity has been brought in terms of propelling innovation, and innovation in marketing becomes a reality, which is when we talk of innovations in marketing beyond businesses. Just try and enumerate similar such kinds of stories. Try and write back to us also that these are several examples in your localized areas, in your local areas, and we would try to enumerate, to compile those stories if somehow we can do that, and we can share those things with several people, wherein people would get to know that innovation is not just related to businesses or profit making or ultimately that limited sphere. Innovation is actually related to supporting and strengthening the definition of marketing for serving the societies at large. Innovation is within business, innovation is in marketing, and innovation is beyond businesses at all the levels. I will be coming back to you next time with a new phase of this course, wherein I will be talking to you about marketing of innovations. Till then, goodbye.